But we're moving on, and this news just warmed my heart. It was announced this past week that on Peacock, premiering on April 1st, WWE has announced a Bray Wyatt documentary narrated by none other than the Hall of Famer, The Undertaker. It's going to be releasing on April 1st. I want to know how you feel about it. Bray Wyatt, April 1st documentary.
Dude, that just warms my heart. And dude, like what an honor to have like the greatest, well, for me, the greatest legend of all time, the Undertaker of all people, narrate your life. Like that is awesome. And then it's so fitting too because Bray Wyatt was like the next person that we saw probably since the Undertaker that was like a supernatural character. Not like the Undertaker, but like the supernatural like concept. He kind of kept that consistent where he almost blended in like the unreal and the real. So it's very fitting that Taker took the time to do this because he doesn't have to. You know what I
Right.
mean? But it goes to show you how beloved Bray was across the roster that, I mean, even a legend wants to come out and do his due diligence and present his documentary. He deserves a documentary. He
He
really
does.
does because his death is just so unfortunate. But I'm very interested in learning about him because it feels like we learned a lot about him, but he's also private,
Yeah,
if you will. Um, and I'm very interested to see like who's featured in it. I'm expecting obviously JoJo probably is going to have her own little
absolutely.
feature and talking about him. Maybe most of the roster is going to discuss him. I feel like it's going to have the same heaviness as when Eddie passed. And he had a whole
Mm,
special himself, and everyone was bawling their eyes out, but they all had a very powerful and heavy story about Eddie's impact. That's what I'm anticipating with this. So I don't know. You have any thoughts on it?
So I think, like you said, right at the Bray Wyatt, one of the most creative minds that pro wrestling has ever seen,
Yeah.
and one of the most captivating characters, one of the most unique personalities and people. The he was the new face of fear, right? And to have someone like the Undertaker who was synonymous with that dark mystical character in WWE and in pro wrestling for the better part of 30 years is an absolute honor. Um, I'm very, very interested in learning more about Bray Wyatt as a human being, because we've seen his work right firsthand from when he first started with the Wyatt family to his last match uh, as kind of this updated, rekindled version of himself. Um, so I am very, very interested to see kind of who is the person that was behind all of this. And I do agree that this is going to be heavy. I don't know if it's going to be as heavy as Eddie's. I feel like Eddie's special was very heavy because it was the day after his passing. Um, Day after, like a couple days after his passing. So I feel like people were still sitting with it. I feel like this is going to be a phenomenal piece, though. I feel like if they took all this time to work on something like this, I feel like this is going to be insane. And I'm just super looking forward to it. But I want to know how everybody else feels below about Bray Wyatt having his own WWE documentary. But we're moving on